Operate basic security equipment. In this competency, you will learn the following. Select and prepare security equipment. Operate security equipment. Maintain security equipment. Select and prepare security equipment. As a security officer, you will be required to be proficient with and use a range of equipment used in the industry. You'll need to have a proper knowledge of the use of torches, communication equipment, keypads and alarm control systems, security vehicles and any other equipment required by your employer to carry out your designated tasks. This must always be done according to relevant industry codes of practice and your own role, responsibility and authority. Before starting each shift, you will need to identify what equipment will be needed throughout the course of the day. Your designated work task will determine the type of equipment being used. You may be required to use equipment for crowd control, control of exit from and access to premises, and screening property and people. Before using any equipment, you must carry out a pre-operational check. This must be done in accordance with the manufacturer's instructions and operational guidelines. You may need to perform basic repairs and adjustments and check the logbook and maintenance register. If you have a work vehicle, you will need to perform minor vehicle maintenance, such as checking the oil, water, fuel and tyre pressure. If you are unfamiliar with the use of any necessary equipment and require training in its use, be sure to report this to the relevant persons, such as your supervisor or technical staff. Depending on the equipment, you may be able to receive on-the-job training from members of the staff. Operate security equipment. Depending on the tasks you're carrying out and the equipment being used, you may be required to wear some form of personal protective equipment. This can be anything from body armor, gloves, masks, or safety boots and glasses. This equipment should be selected and used appropriately. If you are unsure of what personal protective equipment is required for any given task, check the manufacturer's instruction or with your supervisor. All security equipment must be operated in a safe and controlled manner. Keypads and alarm control panels can be used to test the sectors and alarm devices for the correct operation. This is done by understanding the multi-alarm function, which is available on many common alarm systems. Many alarm systems can send messages showing which zones have been activated. This is known as a multi-alarm function. For example, this system has 8 zones. It can report each separate zone as it is activated. Reporting different zones gives you an advantage. You can actually tell which devices or detection equipment are being activated. This indicates that there may be an intruder in the premises moving about, not just one faulty detection device. The multi-alarm function enables you to monitor and actually track someone moving from room to room or from zone to zone. For example, if you have a reed switch on the front door and passive infrared detectors or PIRs in each room, you can actually track someone walking around the building simply by watching which zones are activated. You can test the monitoring system by walking around and checking which devices are activated. While checking the various zones are correctly reporting, you may need to liaise with the monitoring center personnel to make sure all the correct signals are being sent and received. The two-way radio or walkie-talkie is the main piece of communication equipment for security personnel. The two-way radio had the following functions. 1. An on-off switch that is sometimes incorporated into the volume control. 2. Channel selector. Always ascertain the correct operating channel and set it accordingly. 3. Volume control. Try to set it initially at about the midpoint. 4. Squelch control. Most radios now have this feature set automatically. To set a manual control, turn the dial until background noise is heard. Adjust the control unit until this noise is barely audible. This is the correct setting. 5. Conduct a test call to base and adjust the volume accordingly. Before leaving the security base, check the following. The radio is on. The radio is on the correct channel. The volume is turned up. The radio is working. Two-way radios and other communication devices can operate on different channels. The nature of the information you are communicating will determine the channel or equipment used. For example, general information relevant to all members of staff would be on a channel that all devices are tuned, whereas security-sensitive information would be on a private channel or communicated via a telephone. Ensure you are operating on the correct channel. Prior to leaving the radio issue area, make a test call to check that both transmission and reception are functioning correctly. Distortion occurs if the transmitter is held too close to the mouth or if a message is shouted. When holding the transmitter to speak, the point of your outstretched thumb should be touching your chin. This is about the correct distance for speaking at a normal volume. Speak a little more slowly than normal speech. Operate the speak switch for 1 second prior to speaking and hold it operated for 1 second after you have finished speaking. Failure to do this will usually result in the first and last words you say not being transmitted. Always listen for a short time before transmitting a message. This will ensure that you do not cut off or break into another transmission. Only use a piece of security equipment for its intended purpose, as outlined in your assignment instructions. Failure to do this could endanger the safety and security of yourself, your colleagues, clients, and the premises and property. Consideration should always be given to your occupational health and safety requirements. Using equipment differently from the intended purpose outlined in the manufacturer's instructions could also breach your company's public liability insurance and create potential legal issues for you and your employer. You will need to monitor any security equipment at your workplace for errors or deficiencies. If you discover any problems, you must follow your workplace procedures to resolve the issue. This could be anything from checking and performing basic repairs, reporting faults to technical staff, or sending an item back to the manufacturer for assessment and repair. Maintain security equipment. All equipment must be maintained and stored correctly. All vehicles should be locked and stored in safe, undercover area. All portable devices must be switched off and returned to the control center or reception. Alarm systems should be checked and activated if you're the last person to leave the building. Computers and other electronic equipment should be shut down correctly according to organizational procedures. At the end of a shift, you should clear your work area and dispose any waste material. In some cases, you may share work areas with other colleagues, so you must leave this space in a presentable, professional manner. Any equipment found to be faulty or damaged throughout the course of a shift should be reported for repair or replaced as necessary. This task will sometimes have to wait until the end of a shift. However, if you're unable to carry out your assigned tasks because of equipment malfunction, you should report immediately to your supervisor. Any relevant documentation needs to be completed. Some equipment may require yourself or your colleagues to sign out each day. Any equipment that has been taken should be returned and signed for. You may also need to complete appropriate documents for equipment faults and diagnosis, repair and replacement orders, and testing and inspection results.